What's up, guys? Justin here with TheSketchUpEssentials.com. The next version of Twinmotion is here, and it brings one of the most important updates we've ever seen to this new version. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. And so one of the most powerful things inside of Unreal Engine, which Twinmotion is built on, is a feature they rolled out, would have been a couple years ago now, called Nanite. And so without getting too in-depth, basically what it does is it takes the polygons that are in your model, because polygons are the geometry that makes up everything that's inside of the model, and it breaks them up in a way where it only streams the things to your computer that are actually like necessary and shown in order to improve your performance. So you don't need to know how it works technically, but basically what it does is it allows near unlimited numbers of polygons with very good performance. Well, in the new version 2025.2, and it's a preview version, so it's still kind of in testing, but basically they've brought Nanite into Twinmotion. So you can now utilize Twinmotion in order to improve performance of your heavy models inside of your renderings. And so to find this version, you need to go into the Epic Games launcher under Unreal Engine, Twinmotion. You need to make sure that you have Twinmotion 2025.2 preview selected in here. Now, one thing I have not been able to figure out is I'm not sure which graphics cards actually support Nanite and which ones don't. So maybe I missed it in the release notes, but I'm not seeing it in here right now. So I don't know if there are graphics card limitations or not. So the release notes don't specifically seem to talk about Nanite, at least that I'm seeing in here. But I would suspect that you probably need a higher end graphics card in order for this to work, but I don't know that for sure. Okay, and so there's a few different ways that you can access Nanite inside of Twinmotion. So for a lot of objects, right, like this car, you can actually go over into the properties of the car. So if I just click in here like this, click on Nanite right here and click on enable, I can click on apply, and what it's going to do is it's going to take that object and it's going to convert it to a Nanite object. Now, theoretically, you should be able to come in here and click on Nanite triangles, and this is actually going to show you what it's doing, right? So notice how as I zoom in, it's showing me kind of like the heaviness of the triangles in here. So as I zoom out, notice how these are getting bigger and bigger. So it's doing kind of a dynamic replacement of the mesh in here, depending on where my camera is, like this. So basically this object has Nanite enabled, so it can be a very heavy object, and it'll only show the really heavy amounts of detail on the mesh when I zoom way in. So that's one way to do that. So you can also right click on objects in here, and you can actually take everything in a scene and convert it to Nanite. So if you right click in your scene graph right here, click on convert all to Nanite, what it's going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to convert everything in here to Nanite. Notice how you get this little box right here that says Nanite processing. Okay, so now everything that we have in here has been converted to Nanite. So I'm just going to click in here so I don't have everything selected right now. And so my frame rate's a little bit low, but partially that's more due to the fog than to the Nanite itself. But if I toggle over into the Nanite triangles, notice how now you can actually see in the scene what this is doing, right? So notice how the number of triangles dynamically change in here depending on where you're at in the scene. So this is basically, it's almost automating the LOD process, right? The level of detail process. So notice how if I zoom out from this right here, eventually this is going to give me less triangles. So at this point, notice how this is like further away right here. But the number of triangles that this is displaying are dynamically adjusting based on my camera location right here. So what that's doing is that's improving my performance. So this is something that's going to significantly improve performance inside of Twinmotion. So one thing I did know is this does say that it works well for highly dense and uniform geometry meshes, but it says you can get some weird results on low density meshes. So I don't necessarily know that you need to be replacing everything in your model with Nanite. I'm not sure what the best practice is on that, but if you have heavy things like trees or imported models or things like that, Nanite can definitely improve your performance. So I'm very excited to see what this is going to do to performances overall. And so in addition, you can also enable Nanite when you import something. So if I go in here and click on the plus button to import a model, I just have a model that I downloaded from Polyhaven, and it's pretty light, but it'll show you how to get to this. If you go into your options right here, notice how there's an option when you bring something in to enable Nanite. That'll just do that Nanite conversion as soon as you bring this in. So we're just going to click on import right here. So we're going to bring that chair in right here. Well, that's now a Nanite optimized model. So if I click on this button right here and look at the Nanite triangles, you can see that those triangles are in here. Notice how it's not doing a ton, right? But it is swapping out those triangles as you bring them in. So you can also do that on import of new objects, just enabling Nanite or applying Nanite to objects as you bring them in. And so another very cool feature that people have been waiting for a while, and I'm really excited to see, is if you go into your models section under objects right here, notice how there's an option for parallax windows. So these parallax windows are basically images that sit in your scene, and I'll drop it right here just so you can see, right? But these images basically simulate having depth in here, but they're actually just a flat image right here. Well, the cool thing about this is I've got this office building that I brought in from SketchUp, but the cool thing about this is if I drop this in the background, right, it actually makes your building look like there's things in the building itself, right? So you've got office, you've got residential. So say you wanted this to have like a bedroom or something like that. I'm going to drop this bedroom in here. And again, it's like actually looking into a bedroom. And these cast light as well. So it's very cool from that standpoint. You've also got like retail options. So if you wanted to drop retail in like a high rise or something like that, notice how you can drop this in here and it actually looks like these are three-dimensional things inside of the building, plus they're actually casting light in the scene, which is really awesome. So you've got this library of parallax windows that you can bring in order to make your renders look even more realistic. So in addition, they've also improved the 3D grass material, which you can find by going to Library, Materials, 3D Grass. And we talked about this in the last release, but basically if you apply this to a surface, it's going to automatically generate grass on a surface, which by itself is a huge improvement, right? And you've got different kinds of grass in here, so you can do flat grass or mixed grass or whatever you want, right? There's clovers, there's different things in here that you can select. Well, now there's also an option down below for accent meshes. What accent meshes is going to do is it's going to add additional things in your grass, right? So this is probably a good one to show right here. So you can do like field poppies, you can do daffodils, whatever you want. And it probably shows up better if I pick a shorter grass, maybe like a lawn grass or something like that. But now if you pick an accent mesh, it's going to add that accent mesh inside of your grass material right here. And you can adjust the probability that it's going to occur just by dragging the slider right here. But there's also options up here under custom for different presets. So you can do like stadium grass, you can do hot summer, you can do daisies, which is a preset with the different daisy flowers and things like that. So there's actually presets of different kinds of grass in here that you can apply really quickly. So this is a huge improvement over where the grass was even like a year ago. So you can set your own presets in here as well. Now you're a little bit limited. You can't like stack different accent meshes on top of each other, right? So you're kind of limited to like one or the other. But if you have different combinations that you like for example, maybe you had like the wild grass, but then you also wanted to include either like the field or the weeds or something like that, you could do that, or maybe clovers right here, and you can't really see it due to the grass length, so maybe that's not a super good preset, but you could save that as a preset right here and go back to it really quickly. So huge improvements for the grass of the last two releases of Twinmotion. And so another thing you're probably going to notice is a lot of the assets are now cloud deployed. So they're moving more and more of these to a cloud deployed method. So like, for example, you can see how all of these now have a little drop down arrow right here. And if I click on it, you have to download most of these by clicking on them right here and bringing them into your library. So you have less library objects installed by default and more things that you have to download and bring in. Now, this actually makes sense for a couple different reasons. So first off, like most people are not going to use all of these. So it doesn't make sense for Twinmotion to try to ship this whole thing and make the installer super big to have all of that stuff. So that's one thing that does kind of make sense. It is kind of annoying sometimes to not have some of this stuff in here, but there are options in here. Like if you just wanted to download all the chairs, you can just click on this button right here. Now, the other thing is if you wanted to download all of the libraries, you can just go into your show home panel right here and go down to library packs, and notice how this will give you the starter library pack and the standard library pack right here. So the starter is going to be more lightweight. The standard is going to be all native Twinmotion assets. So notice how this is like 81 gigabytes. And this does say that you can download them directly. When I click on them, it doesn't actually do anything. Maybe it's doing something in the background that I can't see. But you're supposed to be able to download them from this page, but you can download the individual sections just by clicking on the button right here in order to do that if you decide that you want to do that. So it's all just cloud deployed, and you're going to see more and more programs going this way. It just makes sense from a network infrastructure standpoint, but you do still have access to all of those models. So another cool feature that gives you more control over fog in your scene is if you go into your library and you want to go to VFX. So we're going to go to library, then we're going to go to objects, and we're going to go to VFX right here. So when I click on VFX, notice how there's now an option in here for fog cards. And so what fog cards are is they're basically cards that you can drop into your scene that are going to allow you to set where fog is. And basically, if you look at these, they're two-dimensional cards. And I think they face the camera, so they act like face me components inside of SketchUp. But notice how you can drop those fog cards in here in order to add fog to different areas inside of your scene. So you can like fine tune the fogginess in your scene just by dropping these in here like this. So, and I haven't really tested what they do to the light in your scene. And so you can see how right here you can adjust their density. You can adjust the scale of the fog card as well as the tint, which is interesting. I'll be really interested to see what my VFX people are able to do with this, because I get a lot of people that are trying to like apply lights, and we can test that real quick. So I'm not 100% sure, but if we add a spotlight in here, I'm going to bring the spotlight in, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my environment light way down. So we're going to go into environment right here, and we'll turn, let's toggle this to an HDRI. Then I'm going to bring the intensity way down. But if you look at this, let's see what this does. Yeah, that's super cool. So if you shine the spotlight through the fog card right here, and I'm going to delete a bunch of these just so we can see just the one. But if I drop a fog card in here, so we're going to go to objects, we'll go to VFX, and we'll drop maybe a large fog card in here like this. But notice how if I adjust the tint, the color of the light is going to be affected by this as well. So notice how if I bring the density up like this, we can adjust the scale if we want to, up and down, but you can actually use this in order to simulate light going through fog right here. So say we dropped another one right here. This one's a little more, well, let's just bring the square one in right here. So we'll bring the scale down a little bit, but we'll adjust the tint to like a blue. All right, notice how that light is actually shining through here. So that's actually super cool for anyone that's doing like interior renders with the lighting and things like that. And so there have been a number of other changes in here as well that I don't really have time to talk about. Like there's a static motion blur, which is super interesting. But one I did want to focus on is the updated animators, specifically the exploder animators. So this has gone through first off, and it's they've redone the animators so that you can create better animations. If there's a desire for it, I can make a video on that. But the one I did want to focus on is the exploder, which is super cool because what it does is, let's say we bring in a model. So we're just going to import a SketchUp model real quick that I just downloaded from the 3D warehouse. So I've got a chair in here. Doesn't need Nanite or anything like that. So I've just got a simple chair in here like this. This chair is made up of a couple different pieces. Well, if you go into your, it's actually tools, animators, exploders, notice how there's a number of different exploders here that do different things. But there's one for like deconstruct, and then there's just a standard exploder, which we'll drag in here. So what the standard exploder is going to do is it's going to give you the ability to link objects to it, right? So if I click in here, I can say, okay, we want to link this object, this object, this object, this object. I don't want the ground, but I do want all of the parts of this chair, right? So we're going to make sure we pick up this piece right here. So now all of those items have been applied to the exploder right here. Well, now if you scroll down, there's an amplification factor. So you can set this up where it's going to explode the object like this. You can like stagger the offset. So if you want different parts and pieces to move out, you can kind of stagger that, but you can also set if it's going to like oscillate or if it's going to loop. So in this case, we want oscillate so that it explodes, moves the parts and pieces out and then back together. But you can use this in order to create exploded views of model things that you have different parts and pieces on. And there's a ton of other effects in here too, but I'm really excited to see what people are going to be able to create with these new animators. So I've really been liking where Twinmotion's been going lately. The grass update was huge. I'm just very happy with what they're adding to this program, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think about these new features? I just love having that conversation with you guys. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.